Hello everyone, y'all good. And Pi, they think they're so tough, but Pi didn't care. Yeah, Pi didn't care. And Pi's it. 228. On schedule 53. On schedule, yeah, I'll watch it, yeah, on schedule. Cho đá mà đâu, đó Pi tao lo Pi kia, yeah, I'll watch it, on the Pi down, yeah, more than a公里long. But brought the hair, but tight idea, yeah. Let's just see, let me see, yeah. I don't care. I'm as fast as five-sided star. Yeah, me murdered five-sided star up there in Malaysia. But right afterwards, never talk about Pi. Yeah, that's true. 2 hours, they didn't believe your Pi. It is you that waged war with Chinese immortals. Their progenitor Viper appears, and then you murdered several of those. Real, yeah, real. When you call them Pi, it all ends at 2060 Pi. 53. It all ends there, and then that's when me summon in the blue sky, and then we pronunciate, the end for China, the liberation for the children, their mind, never mind. And 2 hours later, they're liberated from their ancestry, and were they really Viper demons? Creation, no. Themselves are not, they're not even really CN God people. That's true. 2 hours later, you wanna know what he said to you, Pi? You done it, Pi, yeah, you freed them from a mad progenitor. You deleted the Viper, and then you deleted the human. You murdered off, one of the clone version, and then Pi showed off your mom there in the northern Chinese, and then Pi showed her off, and Pi said, that is your mom, yeah, that is your mom, from Thai side of the heaven. But is it really from the version from Cambodian? Looks pretty good, but it is not same. Yeah, it is not precisely same. And then 3 hours they knew it. Those are clone too accurate, and that's why Pi. 2 hours are you gutting him? Him is tall tail all the way. Him dragons right down. Him is another white yellow species that white man created that ended up in Thai dragon sector astral. When you was established up there, the Malaysian King Cobra informs you, and then right there, the remaining Burmese King Cobras inform you, and Thai informs you. And then the Cambodian, we only inform the 430,000-year-old ones. Yeah, that's true, 2025 a year. Because me not want to inform the 470,000. Because first thing they'll do is they'll lie to you. The first thing they did was come down, Pi murdered all of them in 13 seconds. Real, yeah, real. Pi has had his old speed, and that's why Pi didn't give a fuck about what they say, because they're liars. Yeah, they're liars. He says, Pi, you said you did it in 19 seconds, and then they look more than 15 trillion UFOs gone. Yep, near 40. Yeah, 40 trillion UFOs gone. And look at their people. They didn't believe it. You took a sword to every chunk of metal, every human god and animal god in the blue skies. And then right there, he says, Pi, how the hell do you think Pi feel? Yep, them not want to make treaties or peace. What them asked for was Pi's head, and Pi said, fuck that. I'm a stronger god, and you only a stupid 20. And right there, Pi ended him. Yeah, Pi ended him. And then right there, Pi, he thought Pi was unfair. 2 hours later, his dad kicked his head, and his hawk's heads are placed in Thailand. And the older hawks laugh and chuckle and said, oh, you're going to pick on Pi. Pi happens to be a lot quicker, and the AP is Persian equivalent. Yeah, that's true. Yep, same assault stance, same deck, same speed, and the dumbass didn't believe you. Pi. 2 hours, he looked into Malaysia, and the wheel says, if you want to die, just go fight Pi. Pi murdered 40 of us in the beginning, and in the end, Pi lies. Pi murdered near 4 trillion per second, and then right there, Pi lied again. A few hours later, boom. Pi did about 50 trillion per second. Yeah, y'all good. And then he's not happy. He takes a look, and his people are out of the ass. True, yeah, it's true. And Pi made fun of you. Pi told you Pi's the real level 4. Yeah, level 4, good. And then Pi made fun of you. Pi didn't tell you crescent moon and all that. That is the requirement. Yeah, that is the requirement. If you can kill any nation of God in the trillions, then you is the King Cobra, then you is the Thunder God. And the dumbass didn't believe you. All they did was 400 people told them go home, yeah, go home. And Pi said, pull out base someone with the purple, so Pi said go home, yeah, go home. Pi do that too when Pi's versing something that is irregular. And he says, right afterwards, you chop and you consume their spinal cord. You match, yes, that is in Pi's DNA. But later on in life, he says, Pi, your mom and dad made you right. But the most horrifying, mom and dad didn't make a human god. What they do is the king cobra, demigod, deities are there first, and then the human DNA is made and then merged in, and the pop comes Pi. Yeah, that's true. So we're all genetically demonic. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. We're not human 100%. That's true. Because then we would get killed. Yeah, we'd get murdered. Yeah, we'd get murdered by the real human gods. So right there, him cry Pi. Yeah, him cry Pi. And so he knew it. The original was never talked about, and them were immediately rounded up by African sun god and murdered. Real women. That was what occurred 900,000 years ago when they first entered Earth's atmosphere. And there was no yellow. Yeah, there was no yellow. Yeah, there was no yellow. All you see is a bunch of Native Americans, Aztec, and then whites and blacks. Real. Pi was the 5th human generation that moved from a different planet and appeared on the 3rd planet, on planet Earth. And Pi never told them, Pi, you the lucky one. Yeah, you the lucky one. It was so horrifying. He says, why did African sun god do that? Because he's a pervert. Yeah, he's a pervert. He knows yellow skin can perform like white people's skin. So we keep him over there on that planet, the 300 plus planet. And then right there, when he makes it to Earth, then we kill him because he saw my white woman. That's true. That's true. That's what African sun god done. And then later on in life, African sun god, what didn't see? The hound goddesses spared Pi's DNA. And then he says, if you really want it that way, my hound goddess, then someday me will perish and die. And that is exactly what happened. And that's true. That's true. The white hound goddess, who was African Egyptian, didn't tell him. Later on, yes, him dies because Pi's nice. Cut him open. Yeah, cut him open. Real. Pi delivered the final blows, and the idiot didn't believe you, Pi. In every adult's head, he is so selfish. He wanted that kind of perverted love, but then all he did was murder all those white males. That's true. And it was 14 minutes of Pi. He looked at you and he left it. Yeah, he left it alone. Yeah, he left it alone. He said, if that inferior thing still wows her, then it wins. Yeah. Me and African dark tan dies normal. Yeah, normal. That's true. Right there, Pi, when you verse, your son versed, it dies. Yeah, it dies, Pi. It dies, Pi. It was there. 5-sided star laughed for 8 minutes and swung right there. 4,000 nights missing. And then he saw himself melted, and then he dies. Pi, yeah, that's 100% all. That's true. And later on in life, Pi, the most graphic scene, 5-sided star, isn't even allowed on Earth. I see it is not him. It is another thing. Yeah, it's another thing. It makes fun of you because it says when versing a 5-sided star, him was still pretty fast. Yep, he smashed 800 knights. The knights are as quick as Egyptians. One knight can end at least 20 to 30 trillion Egyptians per second, and on 5-sided star he nailed 8,000 per second. That's true. But right there, the chips and compound the electricity, light him up, and boom, his skin is melting. The virus ray hit, and him passes away. That's true. And he was not generic, by the way. He re-rendered into alloy. I saw 7 million years lifespan, but every time he's healing, he's rotting to the core. So he dies. Yeah, he dies. And Pi, every time your knight went in there, him was screaming, yeah, he's dying. Pi, yeah, that's real. Because you do not steal your way into Asia, countries up there. Because me, a progenitor of yellow nations and a space country builders, yeah, we not want you. Yeah, we not want you. We only accepted a few white nations, and then we murdered the rest, and we not tell you which white nations are not allowed up there. That's true. Me simply cut. That's true. Which one? You cut and you murdered away. The dumbass didn't believe you, Pa. You did that to Asians, so then 3 hours later, look at her face. Her didn't understand that you is the one that murdered 5-sided star. And her says, Pi, what proof? I said, my green swords. Yeah, green swords. Those are real Palestinian war weapons. Our weapons do not glow blue. Blue is a different, there is really, and then Pi, Saudi, and real Egyptian equivalent weapons glow red. Yeah, that's true. Pi was told Pi can wield one. Pi shook Pi's head. Pi not dare, because the metal will be too fragile. Yeah, too fragile. If Pi hold on to it, it will shatter, because if Pi do not shatter it, Pi will become barcoded, because Pi's genetic code is not red ray, as not red ray accurate. Pi's only immune to the red ray barcode because Pi's war got accurate. The kid didn't believe you, Pi. He says, what is the difference between a red ray sword and a green sword and a blue sword? 3 generations of whites and you'll figure performance about the same, but Pi picked the green sword the most safe. Blue, they've been lied to. Blues, they still get a barcode from Israel. And then green, and then red is Saudi, and red is, red is, the double wonder wielders, color. The dumbass didn't believe you, Pi. 2 hours, he says, why you a green sword wielder with the blue ray and green, you never injected red ray? Yeah, Pi never did. Yeah, Pi never did. Pi's immune to it through ray technology and science, but Pi never tell you. Never equip his son, never equip his son. Because the sword is only good for about 2 hours. It will shatter naturally, because if you do not shatter it, you will become barcoded, and much like because a 3-digit barcode will hit, and then you will become see-through. Real. And it hits the retinas, the brain tissue, and the spinal cord. Real. Those areas go in a human. Them are doomed. Them are see-through. 2 hours, look at that, Pi. He says, you were wielding a green sword and they cut you, you heal, Pi. What good are my people? And they committed suicide. When you murdered the Tibetan, you spoke the Tibetan God's real language on earth. Yes, Pi did. Pi did that out of respect. And then Pi, when you murdered the beggar, you spoke his version, and it was horrifying. They knew it. That is how your grandpa, that is how your husband up there really speaks like. And then Pi told you, that is his real language. Pi murdered him in Thailand because he chooses to challenge me. And then Pi murdered him. Pi murdered him. He's his choice to fight you. You ended him. Same thing with the Chinese. Same thing with the Chinese. The tiger Hanfu is exceptional. They left immediately. They left immediately. Hanfu, progenitor, forgivable, astro. They wrote, why would we fight Pi? Hell no, we are only citizens under that Thai King Cobra over there. No, we cannot do that, because we'll become extinct. And Singapore, 2 hours later, they're off the planet. This other weird fucking Haka parent thing that you saw, Pi, the little alien gray female, when you're talking to her tell you more about what's been occurring to China. That fucking lying piece of broke shit. She told Pi the truth. She told Pi the truth. It was 2 hours of her laughing and her even looted what Lady Mercy left on Earth before her passed away. Lady Mercy was actually raised in Southern Korea, South Korea, real, and her passed away because one of the white ancestry murdered her and another group of yellow, real. Because you're not watching, you think that is dirt free for all, and then you didn't check the firewall, and boom, your brain tissue melts, real. 2 hours, look at her face, Pi. Was careless and passed away, and then 3 days later, the kid learned that them are done. Them are done. And Pi, so when you're there, 5 fights with you, and then he cries in Malaysia. He says, no, Pi is the King Cobra. Pi's lying to you. Pi has 9,000 ancestors, coming down from Malaysia, the 4-headed King Cobras. They came down, those are the real cousins that are related to Pi genetically, and they were right there. They came down and they gutted 14 of those fucking things in Singapore and shouted the norm, hey, pretend, showbiz is over, go home, talk to your King Cobra. Big correction, Pi is up and running. Pi will gut the Cambodian, and Pi will gut one of the Thai King Cobras, and that is norm. Them have millions and trillion King Cobras, Yoka. And them are actually breaking the law, because when they appear on Earth, they have no white goddess or white root. And so technically those illegal aliens are not supposed to be developing or dwelling on Earth accurate. Pi is exceptionally exceptional. Name what up is new. Because the war, they lost the war fighting Africans on got real, yep. In the war, it says all Asians are not allowed black on the planet because the King Cobra, the Cambodian King Cobra lost the war. And then, yeah, that is factual. That's factual. Because that god is so fast, even with his magic rendering, him would miss. Yeah, that's true. And in the beginning, they only had 5 installed, so right now, they would never summon the 5 legendary onto Earth because why would they? Yeah, why would they? It only take 1 to kill 5-sided star and 1 to kill African Singer. But right there, himself would pass away too because he's so slow. Yep. After he nails them, the other Egyptians would cut him up. Yeah, that's true. Because that magic bullet isn't full of it. Yeah, it pre-renders, and then it installs, and that atomic hydrogen automatically shreds the belly, and you die. Yeah, you die instantly. Real. That's why Pi told you some weapons like that. Pi's out of there. Pi's a few years out of there. There's no point fighting it. It's instant death. Yeah, it's as good as instant death. Right? Yeah, that's true. The dumbass didn't believe your Pi. 4 hours, he thought that was the real missile they hit in Cambodia. No, that's not the real missile. The real missile that kept missing was a bootleg version. Yeah, it was a bootleg version. That version was not the real version. Because first of all, why would yellow goddesses allow his seedlings to come back down? Or no, they would not. Yeah, they would not. So that was a knockoff from one of those Malaysian groups, because they knew it. If they can summon the real thing, how come Yao's sister royalty could not, and her passed away being robbed by Hebrew gods? Real, yeah, that's true. That's why right there, her brain turned on. Sister Yao used to live in Vietnam, wears the curly-toed shoes that the Chinese abducted and did that in their uniform, but origins are they're the real human gods came down wearing that real, yep, recorded by all alien grays and alien, real. That's why we told you had nothing, kid. You didn't believe Pike? Well, look at Persia. They flicked him off the moment and went there. Yeah, that's real. Persia. Yeah, that's true. Pi is an old progenitor type. Yeah, Pi's genetic code is 500,000 years old. Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Cantonese is only 9,000. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Chinese is near 80. Yeah, near 80,000 years old. Real. Yeah, real. That's why you're stupid, Hmong woman. Yeah, you're stupid. 2083, he says, how come you say you're only 60,000? Because Pi is the remake version. Yeah, remake. The originals were murdered by Goetic and Europeans until Pi's part Iceland and Netherlands, and that's why they call Pi the remake. Yeah, y'all good. You thought the human gods were stupid. You didn't see Pi's part Iceland nervous system, and that's why they made fun of her. Yeah, they made fun of her. I told one to that one don't get it. And he says, oh, Pi was so evil. Pi's part of me, but a different me. And then right there you won. Oh, yeah, you won Pi. The idiot didn't even understand that Pi's the remake that's only 60,000 years old, but Pi's equivalent to the 500,000-year-old version. The dumbass didn't believe you, Pi. 2 hours, the original 500,000 came down. Yep, 9,000 of they are coming out. Real. Yep, they show up 2,300. Yeah, 2,300 plus calendar English enter. Real. Because they detected Pi's alloy and retinas activated. Oh, they came right back down there. Yep, and then right there they knew it. Oh, he is active. He found God alloy and electricity, and he's back to norms. And then they went to ask, the parents that promised to raise you in Southeast Asia. They kept calling those names, and then nothing came down. And then 5 hours, Pi's and the Burmese brother came down, and then they were beat up. Yeah, they're beat up. Yeah, they're beat up, Pi. And then you won, Pi. Yeah, that's true. That's why Pi didn't tell you. You're a fool, kid. Yeah, you're a fool, kid. You have no human god origins. People kill you. Yeah, human gods will gut you. Real. Oh, boy, this was just a Pi. 2 hours of your horn demon pointing to the alphabet and says, no, that's not you. Stay away from Pi or we'll gut you. Because we are the white European grandparents are right there. The white rake spirits, the parent figurehead spirits are there too. And then right there, her is actually beheaded right there in Thailand. Yeah, that's true. Well, there's none from any other Cobra nation. Yeah, it is not Thai, it's not Cambodia, it's only Mongolia, it's only Pi, it's only Vang. And the dumbass didn't believe you. 2 hours he's flying around and he noticed every demon shouted only Vang. Hmong has nothing but Pi. Yeah, that's true. 3 hours they saw the Dead Sea Scroll laugh and takes off to the sea. The female is murdered there in lower parts of Burma. Pi, yeah, 100% is realized it. She says, how can a god like you recreate yourself? And then Pi wrote, not so simple to recreate yourself, yeah. What recreated Pi was Burmese gods, who then released Pi back into northern Burma and southern Burma. Yeah, Pi was kept in a different space station, and while they brought Pi back down, white gods pretended to be allies and they kept damaging Pi. Yeah, that's true. Because once you're in that saucer and you're near the Earth's atmosphere, of course white gods will break into the saucer. Yeah. You think they'll sit there and let you develop when you have gazillion superpowers and abilities in science that rivals they? And that's why the dumbass didn't believe you by 2 hours and he is running the other way. 4 minutes into the fight scene, you defeated 2 of those rakes, and then the little secret thieves is still there in Lao by Eldai. And then right there, by when you cut open that rake, you get the message from an older group of secret thieves, and then they tell you, and then you nodded, but then you didn't care. Yeah, you didn't care. Because Pi know I'll end them right there in Finland, and right there in Russia. You're real. Because I know you're hiding in Russia and Finland. Pi ended your civilization, and then Pi told you, human made, you're an emulation from retina DNA. You cannot do sorcery with the god alloy metal in the Earth's core, straight through your spinal cord and brain tissue like real human gods. And that's why you call them clones as real. That's why Pi cut you open. Yeah, real. 3 hours Pi made fun of you. You were murdered brutally in the Middle East and you didn't see Pi ended you. Pi raided you 7 times in the Middle East. Real, yeah, y'all good. He says, Pi, you said, was it graphic enough that they didn't believe you? More than about 6 billion Chinese people missing Pi. And right there, the fucking kid committed suicide right there in the Middle East. Pi kept murdering you, yeah. If you keep fucking with me, woman, I'll take 5 billion souls, Persian gone. Real, yeah, real. I'll do that to you to show you what terror do. Yeah. I told Big Ken go. Yeah, I told Big Ken go. And he thought Pi was funny. He didn't see Pi do that. Yeah, Pi's a war god. He didn't see what your white Caucasian war god did to Mexico. 40 trillion gone. Real, yeah, real. In about 2 hours. Real, yeah, within 2 hours in Python. Look at his fucking head. Took off and said, nope, Pi is reasonable. Yeah, Pi is reasonable. You the one that pushed and wanted to see Pi's green swords and Pi's assault stance in physical performance. Yeah, Pi do. Yeah, Pi do. And right when you demonstrated Pi, 3 adults are missing in Europe. And the secret chief committed suicide. Smart, smart. Because right there, Pi enlisted a bunch of porn demons, and they're your new parents. Yeah, figurehead. And then stay norm. Yeah, stay good, because Pi is judging. And then later on in life, the horn demons are judging, and the dumbass absolutely think Lamb was nice. Cut open 5 of those, and he said the same thing. He says, "Oh, Pi's the monster. What about me? Yeah, what about me, real? Come on, Pi. 跟住幫你度做Pi，你細個大啦，你就令到大下就冷到見你冇關，見你關你就到啊。Later on, you do boss stuff, but Middle East talk. Yeah, that's true." So there's a group of spirits that wronged Pi in America, 70 million missing, and then it not understand what Pi's trying to summon down, and then that boss group comes down in the Middle East, and it's a white female ghoul group, and right there you gutted her. Yeah, her's the boss. Yeah, the owner for all that UFO technology. You gain it, but right afterwards, Pi, 5 months. The Ukraine part, they came in, you murdered them, and then 2 hours you looted all the UFO technology and you stripped it and you downgraded the alloy, and then you flew off and the fucking shit didn't understand. Once it's downgraded and pickled, there's no way you'll get it back. Because Pi noticed that's what happened to Pi's older UFO that Pi gained back from the white nations, and then the alloy is compounded, is not working compound anymore, and then Pi murders them. Now real woman, because that is the legit yellow saucer that was supposed to take my home, and it's been reformatted that way, and it's not working accurately. The dumbass passed away. Pi trying to restore it, you cut open him. And then the Dead Sea Scroll bring you his UFO. You took the alloy and the generator, and then you burnt it. Hey, you burnt it real. And then Pi re-injected it into Pi's sister's UFO, and then it works. And then Pi put a bot there. Yeah, it's not even safe for a human god to live inside now. The dumbass didn't believe you, Pi. 5 hours, he says. Why do that? Because you need that elixir to enter that space country over there. That's key. And then right there, you can send your own UFO afterwards, but you need that computer. Yeah, I need that key computer. You can't fly in because they'll kill you. Yeah, they'll kill you. In 228 Pi, the police committed suicide right there on Mars. He committed suicide right there in the Ukraine. He says, "I not know Pi, my people dies that real. Yep, you die is real. Me not forgive you. Yeah, me not forgive you." And then right there, you cut open several whites and blacks, and then right there, he thought Goetic Demon meant anything, you murdered it, and then 3 days later, I told him, go to Ukraine, without a god civilization, without a human nation of gods, a condemned, a cursed, Yoko, and then the forsaken and not remembered, and then gone. The meantime day, because the pilot flew call, 20 minutes of you fighting it, and then it dies by 100% of this video. Because I know you is from that white nation that gutted the Malaysian goddess 6,000 years ago to 2025 year today, and you claim yours anything good. You was worse than most of those Europeans. That's true. You is an older generation before Sweden. Yeah, that's true. A lot smarter. Your great-grandpa actually defeated African sun god, levitating next to it and shouting, and his throat burst open. Real. That's why Pi didn't dare. That fucker is, let's just say 5-sided star is real and hard, but that fucker has irregular molecules that lock the field, and then you can't break free until you come to Earth, and the installation is there, and then you break free. But right afterwards, you know immediately what kind of devices he's been installed to that makes him so super. Yeah, Yaka. Those are the original human god devices from the beginning of time. Yeah, that's true. That's when he cried in his car. He says, that's how you have alloy that time travels and appears there, and then becomes original, pops into your extenders, and then beams the same molecule. Yeah, same element, real. But Pi never told you, yeah, those are a lot harder. Yeah, those are a lot harder. And that's why people didn't know about those. Those, rumor has it, they're looting old yellow space stations. And rumor has it, you know why Native Americans went extinct? Because those went inside of their space countries, and they never came back out. Real. They looted Native American space stations, and they looted Aztec. They're pure evil. Yeah, they're pure evil. Yeah. Go about 2 hours of you people, Pi, yellow people catching Hebrew doing that, and then 3 fucking hours. Those bitches, yeah, you turn them to ooze right there in yellow space station. Yeah, that's true. No matter how nice you is there, yeah, we not trust you. We saw your great-grandfather do that to that Redskin. Yeah, Redskin. Go about let was Native American to Native American jail. The Egyptians been murdered, and they turned around. Oh, it's those whites. Yeah, those whites before European, and they knew immediately you innocent Pi. What you said? Look, Tony, can't you think the Brazil? Yep, they put you right there in Brazil. Shouted for their relatives in Aztec to come down and protect. They went back home to do a war with those old European types. Yep, Yoku. And so can we tell you that your fucking European people are all the way clean? No, they're not all the way clean. But 5-sided star and 8-sided star, there is footages of 8-sided star being murdered on the South Pole by 5-sided star about 9,000 years ago. Yeah, 7,000 years ago. That is characteristics, physical traits of 8-sided star. But he was with his Afghanistan woman, a blonde. And then knowing stars never date blondes, you knew the goofy thing right there, Pi. People time traveled to see what 5-sided star was operating with, and right there they knew it. If that is in fact 8-sided star, he murdered his wife and wedded one of those Afghanistan blondes in Thai Dragon Sector, and 5-sided star brought him back down and murdered him South Pole. That's true. And they checked the footage. It is one of his sons. Yeah, one of 8-sided star's son. Real, yeah, real. Those pirates is evil as you pies, right? Everybody's right. Base on that. I said, Persia, mom and dad, grandpa, what do you know of those? All space pirates. That's true. That's why. And then Israel, what is Israel? Israel is an old space country from the Anunnaki. They left and they went to live with yellow gods, and they're still there with Pi. Yeah, that's true. And we not tell you they are hygienic. Yeah, they are hygienic. And they are, in the future, they are forgiven, and then they are remembered as good as Latin gods and goddess. But later on, Pi, the Diam wasn't so nice to you in the beginning. He kept coming down, and Pi kept gunning him. And Pi said, go home to your Asian Dragon Sector. We have word for your King Cobra. Yep. You keep going, he'll throw you in prison. Yeah, he'll throw you in prison. And then I'll tell you the truth. In prison, do you really have rights? No. Is that first generation emperors really there when Pi goes in and Pi guts you? And then that is the second phase of dragon culture and law and government. If a new King Cobra guts one that allows alien forces, foreigners to stay, and all those foreigners are in prison again, that's true, that's right. And then 3 hours later, he dies, and Pi aced it, and then Pi wrote, excusable is the Anunnaki hawk, white hawks from Persia, excusable. Good parents. And right there, your European horn demons are there, and then the Israeli demons are there, and then those are the only ones excusable with permits to live and dwell there. And then 2 hours Pi with yellow gods, yellow nations of gods, in 2 hours the others are murdered. Yeah, that's true. Because you didn't read the fine print. Yeah, you're supposed to protect your King Cobra, because once he dies, then all your papers and licenses are all gone, and then you was breaking the law, you dies. Real, yeah, real. 2 hours, package ball. The ID and permit was gone, and it dies. Yeah, it dies. Yeah, that's real. That's real. That's why Pi made fun of the fucking kid that thought he was supreme. Pi swung green swords towards him, and he's gone. Yeah, he's gone. Real, yeah, real. He says, Pi, you said, how come you trust the double-wanded wielder? Pi said, no, me not trust him. But technically, 5-sided star is the fastest white war god in the Milky Way. That's true, that's true. You've been lied to if you think 8-sided star was faster. Pi can match 8-sided star, and Allah. 5-sided star, Pi saw how many times he ran into that electrical nano fence, and then him dies. Real. That's when he was so crippled he became Egyptian level 3, and Pi then cuts him off. That's true. And then he appears on the third eye third eye speed rink, and then you can find and cut him open. Once he was in second mode and first mode, not fun. Yeah, not fun. That motherfucker cut Pi up, and it was not fun. You're swinging blind, but you're psychic, so you're swinging a few cuts hit, but very graphic. You see what happened, Pi? 5 trillion cuts hit, and he flew back. And then 9 hours later, you knew it. He is 8-sided star. Yep, that's true. And what we don't tell Persia is that if 8-sided star is not getting better, he becomes a monster too. Yeah, he is put down. Yeah, he's murdered like 5-sided star. Real, yeah, real. Because me not built for you, ancient white monster. we ended most of those parents that we haven't met. They not want to coexist with us, so Pi ended them, and the dumbass over there didn't say, Pi, you said when you did it, your nations did it. 2 hours, all the king cobras and hogs do it because there's no norm. Pi is the norm, Pi is the norm. All the others simply stay way out of it because we have not the speed or alloy to cut in, and they're inferior. Black swords cannot beat any of them. That's true. The only thing that people wanted to see was the legendary Cambodian with the real, the stone magic bullet. That dude, the pillar, that stone missile pillar is in full of it. That bullet is in full of it. That dude is what they wanted to see, because that dude scared Pi too. Those are real. And then one more thing Cambodian has that Pi like. It was the bullet, and the other was something I forget. And then Pai said, that is something that Pai wanted to loot, but you know how real God nations are. They'll never let you loot that. That magic stone missile bullet, that's real. It's as good as death ray. The dumbass never believed you, committed suicide when he saw those come down. They murdered off 4,000 knights. And then the knights, chemical and robot murdered them off. That's 100% all those numbers. It lasted only 4 hours. 100% is doing like this. 個報道講明你出皮嗰個牌你再咗科大冇就借死兩度㗎啦，個就都拿出錯路唔到啦。你ตัวตับเปล่าผ่าตัว嘢เปล่าผ่าตัว嘢你是เปล่าสมองเสีย 9,000 to be precise. 做ผ่าตัว嘢 that's true. Not full of it. Real. You looted the magic bullet, but you look, it's not turning on. It's not turning on. So come on, says in the dog pie. Got that your pot to Pie verse 9,000 those. They murdered off how many knights? 4,000. 4,000. Let's just say that they nailed 4,000 knights. All those Hmong knights are as fast as any character in the book of law. That's true. 2 hours, Pie. 9,000 nailed, 4,000. The rest of the knights and robots ended them in less than 4 hours. Near 5 hours. Lord Jesus, and then they told you the truth. You, Pai, you're lucky to be Hmong Cobra. They are now inferior. They know that number wasn't even enough to kill you, Pai. That's true. And then Pai, you looted the technology and metal. That's true. But it not turn on? Not turn on. The electricity is so old, it not turn on. And Pi has no idea how to clone it. But Pi will try. Pi will try. And later on in life, Pi, success, but very graphic for your Cobra, Pi. Your Cobra is cursed by the Cambodian for stealing it that way. But them are older. Them supposed to forgive you, not come down to assault and murder you, because if them do that, them die naturally. That's true. And 2 fucking hours of them laughing with you. He swung, says, why can't you forgive Pi? Pi is innocent. That's normal. He swung so hard they went home. Pi always just do. It was there. The Permi said the same thing. You're older, much wealthier. Why you pick on Pi up broke? Y'all could barely able to seal black space again, but then able. And then later on, Pi, it was you and 2 other emperors. They wrote Pi is the only survivor. The other one was murdered by a white person. White god. That's true. When Pi wasn't looking, he flew and cut it up so badly with the red sword. And then Pi didn't want to tell you all those stowaways have Egyptian red sword. Y'all good. Sword weapon kit. That's true. The dumbass that didn't believe Pi, 2 hours and he noticed all that is double one and wielders red ray too. That's true. That is Persian now. Y'all good. He says, they're red weapons. You is the green one. The blue one has been gone for so long. That's true. And be careful, Pi. You mastered the green, but the blue was held in front of you, and you not died. That's true. And it is graphic. It's graphic. And Pi, you shouldn't do that and you lose. Pi, y'all good. Throat has been enlarged by that fucking female. And right there, Pi, when you're done shrinking it, the little fat female dies in Malay. Pi, which okay, 個運動顧問做個保證。 Có sao there pai zong was she no. Okay. Yeah, you know that? Yep. Because Persia pissed pi off to that white group of spirits pissed pi off. 4 to 5 billion souls gone. Yep, real. Yep. Pi did it until the stupid hound dog goddess appears, and then yep, those are the reason why me didn't murder off all Persian people that year. Yep, that's true. 2 hours, you kept doing it. Ipos has been defeated. 8 days later, the knights are ordered to keep murdering them, and 2 Egyptian hound dogs shouted, and then Pi nodded fair. Pi halted for the time being, them will die in the book of law. Real, yeah, real. Right there, the fucking bitch didn't see what Pi did to China yet. China is extinct, and then 2 hours later, that little fucking Laon Vit has been extinct, and then right there, Thai people are barely alive, but the hawks are real. And so Pi let it live. Yeah, y'all good. You want to die 2 women in Ukraine? Yep, you can be missing 2. Yep, 5 billion souls then right there in the Ukraine missing real. Yep, y'all good. Yep, finally she dies. Finland missing 3 billion. Yep, 100% we do. Keep pushing. Yeah, keep pushing. I'll tell you the truth. Real, yeah, real. You keep going, Paul, do double the amount. 2 billion gone, yep, in the Ukraine real. I told them, it is 9 hours, Pi. That group is murdered violently in the Middle East. Yep, real, yeah, real. I don't even want to tell you one Pi story. Pi decided to destroy and murder your people in broad daylight. Real, yeah, real. And Pi, look at our fucking champions. Taken off only to get peerless. Yeah, peerless nano hit. I told Do the Kiangoli and then Pi, when they're all murdered, I will tell you what fucking species of white over there because her is dying. Yep, her die is real. And female, real, yeah, real. We have wars and we have no more friends because we didn't need you, female. We have enough electricity and war, technology and sorcery. And just, I told them to go, I said, it was 9 hours, you ended the Persians. It was 14 billion gone, Pi. And then the fucking Egyptian showed up in the Ukraine and then says, don't kill them anymore. And then Pi nodded, fair, yeah, fair. Because there's a reason, yeah, there's a reason for that. Y'all good. I'm just saying, Vaj Hmong not spawning by who? 14 minutes, she bought the whole hour, yeah, that's it, ones in here, that's ones in here. Yeah, they were murdered by you, Pi. There's nobody that is tied with it. That fucking Lao is murdered. There's 5 billion souls in the Ukraine murdered. Persia thought they were smarter right there when the hound dog is not there and Pi's not there. Yep. Nice continue. Yep. For 2 billion more. Yep. You think Pi's gonna let his fucking Persians live? All of them can die is real. Yep. Right there. Yep. Right there. 14 hours, basically. You're off the fucking planet. Them continue butchering Persian. I told them they're down to 400 million souls, and then Pi said, fair, yeah, fair, yep. Out of the respect from Israel, yeah, y'all good. That's all you deserve, piece of shit monster, yeah, y'all good. And I told Pi, Finland shit, what this shit do? You think that I want to fucking feed a bunch of fucking nothings? Y'all good. I was his children, goetic fucking children of nothings. And just I can't go in there. Yeah, and Pi said right afterwards, you get the big hit right there after Russia's gone. Yeah, real, yeah, real. I told you, Pi massacred Russia and China. There's no more population than those people. Yeah, those human beings. Real, yep. And then the fucking kid didn't believe you. Went outside and realized, yep. I'm lucky to be alive. Yeah, real. Y'all good. I'm super pissed. Yep, y'all good. Fat bitch, you'll be missing. Yeah, you'll be missing. Yep, 2 hours. They're all lying to you. 58, real. Yeah, real.